Welcome.
I wasn't ready.
Oh, sorry.
Welcome.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Welcome
To
Those Two Chicks with a podcast. Hey, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Emma Grace.
We have a special guest.
Yes.
Little nervous about it, not gonna lie.
You too.
She's literally an 8-year-old. So, not good parenting decisions, but she's not my child.
Yeah.
So, wasn't my idea, so I'm not the bad one.
And I'm not even related
You're
to
not
her.
related. So, my niece Maisie is hanging out with us. Say hi, Maisie. No. Oh, now she's going to be shy. Okay, well, that's good. And you may be thinking, but Emma, Grace, and Jordan, why would you have an 8-year-old on your podcast with murder? And to that I say, this child is scary. So, she's used to stuff like this. Literally in the car, she asked me if I have any unsolved cases. Which is like, you must know a lot for an 8-year-old to ask you that. And she also plays, what's that game?
Five Nights at Freddy's?
Yes, Five Nights at Freddy's, where children literally get eaten.
That's not scary.
Yeah, so we're fine. She doesn't even think that's scary, and I cried when I played that game. So
Really?
The one where he's just like in his room, that one was pretty freaky.
The Crying Child?
The what?
It's called The Crying Child.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know if that's it, but
Because
don't
he
like
died crying.
Oh, probably. Yes.
He did.
Of course.
Yeah, that's okay. So, yeah, keep your opinion to yourself because she's scary in her own way. So, we're fine. Okay, well, it's True Crime Tuesday, and it's my turn. So, do you want to hear a story?
Yeah.
Okay, so my case is unsolved, so it's perfect for Maisie. And I want to tell you the story of the Skelton Brothers of Morenci, Michigan. It is Michigan, Kate. Okay, we'll jump right into it. So our story begins in Morenci, Michigan, where Andrew, 9, Alexander, 7, and Tanner, 5, were on a court-ordered visit with their father, John Skelton. The visit seemed normal at first. John had called the first night and told their mom, Tanya, yes, it's Tanya, not Tanya. I was very confused for a second.
Oh, okay.
Told their mom, Tanya, that he made them their favorite dinner and a cake, because I think one of the little boys' birthdays were coming up, so they were kind of like celebrating. She had heard them playing in the background, so to her everything seemed fine, right? So their visit was on Thanksgiving of 2010, and Tanya was supposed to be picking the boys up on that Friday, Black Friday, at 3 p.m. Now, she did have contact with John starting at noon because she wanted to see if she could pick the boys up early, and John said they were not there. Oh. Now, I'll go into the family's backstory a little bit in a minute, but they only live 2 blocks away from each other. So Tanya can see his car in the driveway from her house. And she's like, no, I see you're parked there. And he said that his friend, Joanne Taylor, had picked them up. So he was out of the house.
Oh.
Okay. So she called back, and again, he said he was home, but the boys were with his friend. So she's starting to get a little suspicious and a little worried. At this point, she contacts her attorney, and her attorney says, don't worry until your pickup time at 3 o'clock. After 3 o'clock, then we can take action, which is probably hard for a mother to do, to wait until that time. So anyway, at 3:01, she ends up calling the police because he's still giving her the runaround. And this is when John lets her know that he is on his way to the hospital with a broken ankle from a failed suicide attempt.
Oh.
So, huge change of events there.
Yeah.
Apparently. Let's go a little bit back to the family. Tanya and John had been married for about 9-10 years at this point, and they do have children from a previous marriage. Tanya has 2 older daughters. John has another daughter that he just doesn't see a lot. But they ended up having the 3 boys together. Their marriage was kind of on the rocks already. They were already living separately. Tanya was living with her oldest daughter. That's the house that's 2 blocks away. And John really wanted to work things out, but Tanya didn't. It was just kind of like a messy situation. This is when John decided to do something a little drastic. So in September, only a few months before this happened, Tanya brings the boys to school. Okay, and she dropped them off. Everything was normal, but then she got a phone call again that morning that John had taken all 3 boys out of school. The counselor was a little confused because Tanya had dropped off medicine for the boys for that whole week. I'm not sure what medicine they take. I don't even think schools do that anymore, do they?
They do.
Yeah,
They
you have to
do?
bring in your own stuff.
Okay,
but,
well, I
yeah.
take my kids to daycare, so I don't know. But that was the point that made the school be like, okay, that's weird. Because she dropped it off for the whole week. And then John said he's taking them on a 3-week vacation.
Okay.
So weird. So the counselor calls her, and they say, they told her what happened, and she's obviously very concerned. Because, they did not plan this, and John has been asking her to move back down to Florida where his family's from. So immediately she's worried that he's going to take the boys away from her. She finds out that John is still in the area, and she gets a hold of him, and he, again, tells her, I'm taking the boys to Florida for a vacation. He just says for a vacation. Well, 3 weeks is kind of a long vacation. Mm-hmm. And think about it, this is September, so the boys hadn't even barely been in school for like a month. You can't take kids out of school, only a couple weeks into the school year for an extended stay. Yeah. And he's like, don't worry about it. I'll enroll the boys in school while we're down there just for the 3 weeks. Obviously, she knows a little bit better.
It's really weird.
And she's like, well, you need documents and stuff to even enroll the boys in school, and he doesn't have them. So this is when she's like, okay, I know how to get to him. I'm going to give him the documents, which was pretty smart on her part. So she ended up confronting him with the documents, and he did, I don't know what happened in that situation, but he did end up getting the 2 older boys into his van, and he went to Florida. Drove through the whole night just trying to get there. So not sure why he didn't take Tanner. We don't know. Now, she did take immediate action. She went to a judge right away, she went to her attorney right away and filed for divorce because they said that was the only way to get emergency full custody of them. So the judge obviously helped get her the full custody, but he did say you have to go down to Florida and work with judges in that jurisdiction to get the boys to come with you. And John did pretty much give up. He said, okay, we'll go back. So the judge in Florida ruled that they had to share custody back to the Michigan state line, and then once they crossed over the state line, they would be fully hers. Okay? So this took a few weeks, but they did get back to back to Michigan. He went willingly. Obviously, this is not a healthy environment for children.
Right.
Okay? And there are some accusations against the mom that I will go into later. I will say the boys were happy and they were well taken care of according to people around them. Didn't seem like there were signs of neglect or abuse or anything like that. And according to Tanya,
sorry. I don't think that's her name.
It's Tanya. Did I say Tanya a few times?
No, I think
Tanya.
this might have been the first time.
All right. If I say Tanya, guys, I mean Tanya. I'm sorry. But it is what it is. According to Tanya, the boys really did love their father. Mm-hmm. So it didn't seem to be any question if John really was safe or not. To me, it's a tricky situation because would you give your children back to a man who is going to take them across the country without your knowledge?
Right.
To me, I would be a little scared.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I, of course, don't want to judge her because she's going through the most unimaginable situation. I could not even put myself there. But she did let the boys go see him again. They were working on counseling because, like I said, John did want her back. She was pretty much done with the relationship, but yeah, they tried. So this brings us back to the day the boys went missing. So like I said, they stayed from Wednesday to Friday with their father. They were supposed to get picked up at 3 o'clock on Black Friday. The children are nowhere to be seen. People did say they saw the boys playing in the yard the day before. So that Thursday, they did see the boys. But other than that, no one had seen them. No one knew where they were. Thankfully, cops did take immediate action, and an Amber Alert was issued, which usually, for children, they're a little more quick. Yeah. But, I just feel like sometimes it takes a minute to get things rolling. So this was still Friday night. They issued the Amber Alert. Now, this is what John says happened. He claimed he gave the boys to a woman he had met while trucking. That was his profession. He was a trucker, and she had car troubles and was on the side of the road, and that is how he met her. He pulled over to help her with her vehicle. Her name was Joanne Taylor, and he said he did keep in contact with her via email, but police say this woman doesn't exist. Okay? So, and I feel like in 2010, he's emailing her. There has to be a trail of that.
There should be.
There has to be an IP address that they could trace back. But they said she's not real, so I'm assuming they couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
Because I know they did search his computer.
Oh, okay.
They could not find He did recently get a new phone, so I don't know if they could have checked old phone records from his last phone, but they could not find anything on this woman that he claims he gave them to. John says he gave his kids to this woman to protect them from their mother. He said they will stay under protection until they graduate, which,
okay,
I know, random, and also can't be possible because at this point, we're talking one was 9 in 2010. He'd be like 20 now.
Right.
And hasn't come out. So that's a little odd. Now he claims that the boy's mother was abusing them. Before I say this, there is no backing to this claim. Okay. Like I said, by all accounts of everyone else, these boys were well taken care of and happy. And she also has 2 older daughters who have never claimed anything against her. So we do not know, but this is just what John said. Oh, and also let me say, this is a messy, messy divorce. And it kind of seems like he's just playing that role of making himself look better than the mom.
Well, yeah, but even if this lady was real,
yeah,
he still gave his kids to some random lady.
It doesn't make sense.
In contact by email in 2010, like cell phones, texting, that was huge.
Yes, it was a thing then.
You don't just give someone their email.
No.
That doesn't make sense.
Maybe if you're old people and not used to it.
Maybe.
I don't know. My mom still... Well, my parents are getting better at texting.
I'm saying my parents are pretty good at texting.
Yeah,
so.
okay. Well, yeah, we'll see. But, okay. I agree, though. That is weird. Yeah. This is the part that I mentioned earlier. Tanya has a bit of a history. She is a registered sex offender because she did have sexual relations with a 14-year-old boy.
Okay.
Now, John knew this already. He knew this before they got married. It's not something she kept quiet from him. It's not something that she was hiding. He knew.
Right.
So to all of a sudden just say now, oh, her past is a problem, little fishy to me. But I will say again, there's nothing indicating she was abusing these boys. We don't know if this is true or not. Now, this guy's story has changed quite a few times, and it was really hard for me. I was trying so hard to find a timeline of like everything he has said. And the thing is, there's not that many there's not many articles about this case written out. Like most of the information I've gotten are from other podcasts, so I'm going to put them in the description. One really good one was True Crime Garage, but I just couldn't find all the ways his story changed, but I will say it changed a lot. Like I did see in a few articles, he first did admit he did something to the boys and then took it back. I could only find that in like 2 articles. So I don't know if that's accurate, but just so you guys know, it's like a mess. Like he is not making sense, okay? And so he claims what really happened is that this woman was a part of an underground foster system. Sorry.
Okay. Close enough.
My words are getting mixed up.
That's underground.
It's not technically underground. You know the Underground Railroad? Wasn't really underground. It's just like secret. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Secret then.
Hold on. Let me hold on. Let me back up. Okay, so this is what he claims happened. Joanne Taylor was a part of this underground foster care system, and he told her that his boys were being abused, and she said she would help protect them. Now, he has named multiple people, at least 4, in this, like, underground foster care system. None of them have come forward. No one has said anything. In the FBI, he gave a couple random names, which sounded like he was pulling them out of his ass. Mm-hmm. And the FBI said there's no backing to any of these. And also they were like, he said maybe they're just so good at their job because it's like a secret foster care system.
Okay.
Which just like kind of doesn't make sense to me because it's obviously not official. No. It's not a government thing.
No.
But I guess I just don't know. How would the government not even know?
That's weird.
It doesn't make sense.
We'll never find them. It's like, that's your job, probably.
That's literally the FBI's job. And I'm not saying they're perfect all the time, but I'm saying they've been looking for these kids for 11 years.
Yeah.
No one has been able to find this underground foster care system. There is a case, oh my goodness, I wish I would have looked this up. 2 girls were found hidden on a farm, I think in Montana.
Oh.
And they were found. So maybe there is something. Maybe they are really good at their job. We don't know.
Right, I don't know.
And that's a frustrating thing to me. I want to know. Let's go into a couple pieces of evidence that don't look good for John. So one being...
It's my mom. She's video calling.
Mary!
Mom, we're filming. What do you need?
Oh, poop, I didn't even read the audio. In fact, I was trying to get my screen up so I could shut off the... That's not funny.
It's kind of funny.
Who's in the room with you?
Who do you think?
Who was the other person?
Maisie.
Hi, Maisie. I know you.
She's like, who is this lady? That's Emma's mom.
I don't know who
She's friends with Nana.
Yeah.
How am I supposed
Did
to
you?
know
She
all
dated.
this
She
stuff?
dated Papa in middle school.
Oh, stop.
She did. I'm not even
Yeah.
kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Okay, so let's talk about a couple pieces of evidence that just do not look good for John. Okay,
Right.
This one is the one where I'm like, yeah, okay, no, you did something.
Mm.
So his phone, because they could track his phone,
Yeah.
it pinged about 25 miles away in Holiday City, Ohio, very early in the morning, like at 5 a.m., 4 or 5 a.m. It then was turned off for 2 hours and then pinged again back in Morenci. That's suspicious.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
No.
How do you, and he has no explanation for this. He didn't even say he went to go meet Joanne Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. He has no explanation for this. That can't just happen.
No, people that turn off their phone, if you ask them why, they have a reason right off the bat. Whether,
Yes.
oh, I was doing this, I was doing that.
Yeah.
Or to just, oh, I don't know.
That's weird. You know, it just
Did it
doesn't...
itself.
Yeah, it does not make sense. And so that, to me, that's pretty damning.
Yeah.
So, and also this area, Holiday City, Ohio, is not a city. It's literally, think about Ohio. It's the worst state to drive through. Sorry, people from Ohio. Just to drive through. You guys, I'm sure you have other stuff.
You
but
understand. We're from
literally
Michigan. Have to
all
Ohio.
corn. Like flat corn.
Corn.
I remember I was driving through, because, okay, side note, my brother went to college in Adrian, which is on that side of Michigan where
Yeah.
Morenci is. And he would go to Toledo, Ohio. Okay, so he took us from Adrian to Toledo, and we were driving through, and he's like, on your left you'll see corn. On the right you'll see corn. Oh, up here, there's the corn-colored house. Like, that's literally what driving through Ohio is like. Okay? It drives me nuts. Sorry, Ohio. It's corn. Good for you. Great product to export.
We
but
love corn.
export. I do love corn.
So it's basically just like corn.
Literally corn.
Yeah.
So this area has like 200 acre. Hold on. They have way more than that. That's the size that they've narrowed it down to search. Is like 200 acres.
Okay.
Which is insane still. 200 acres. But I mean, it's just miles and miles and miles of rural area.
Corn.
Okay, corn. Very good place to drop a body, in my opinion.
Sure.
All right, so let's talk about the other thing.
Okay.
The next, now this is even worse, maybe. Yeah, probably worse. The next thing that police found concerning was some searches he had on his computer.
Oh.
One being how to snap a human's neck, or if it was possible to snap a human's neck. And another being about how to kill a human with rat poison, or how much to kill a human with rat poison. He said he was watching a kung fu movie with his kids, and his kids asked him to Google search this. And I'm like, okay.
Okay.
9, 7, and 5.
Mm-hmm.
She's a little weird for an 8-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the oldest one.
Maybe.
But why would you be like, oh yeah, that's right, Maisie. That is a good question. Go type that. Like,
love that on my search history.
Weird.
I don't understand why people just Google this stuff to begin
know.
with. Like,
Yeah.
that just seems really dumb. Like, if you're going to do something terrible to a human being,
Yeah.
why are you Googling that?
They
Like,
don't know
that's
how.
weird.
Google teaches you everything.
I feel like, then don't do it.
Yeah, because instantly the FBI agent who tracks your phone is going to be like, bing. You know?
Exactly.
Yes.
Can the FBI agent still see if you remove the search
Yes.
from the
Yes.
Google history?
Yes, Maisie,
Yes.
so please don't be searching weird stuff. Okay.
He's like, we gotta go home now.
Now we gotta go home and check out her. I'm gonna tell her mom. So yeah,
Yes.
nothing is ever fully removable from the internet.
Okay.
If you post a video or a picture, even if you delete it, it is in there forever.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so bottom line, nothing's ever deleted.
Yeah, which is why sometimes I have to watch what I say on this podcast. Because it will haunt
Nothing's ever deleted.
It'll haunt you forever.
it just haunts you.
So, yeah, really weird. And also it makes me think, what kung fu movie has, snapping of necks, maybe.
Sure.
Rat poison?
That doesn't make sense.
I almost was going to Google movie with snapping necks and rat poison, and then I was like, no, don't Google those things. You know what I mean?
But beyond there.
I'll Google it on my mom's phone maybe later. But, you know what I mean?
Go out of your way, only use other people's phones.
Yeah, that's just...
Like an old person.
Kathy an FBI agent just comes in and just tackles her.
Poor Kathy. She's like, what's going
I
on?
was just playing Candy Crush.
But you know that if they said we found this on your phone, she'd be like, what?
She would.
Because she would never.
Oh,
That's scary.
that's spooky. I wouldn't do that.
That is your mom.
I know. See, we try to be serious in these episodes, and sometimes we just can't.
Sorry.
Can't do it.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
As long as we're
Okay.
laughing about the kind of appropriate things and not...
Yeah.
Yeah, we're okay. Okay.
Not the,
Yeah.
If true crime comedy podcasts aren't your thing, people, I'm going to tell you, just turn it off now. Like, just... We
not
have
worth
a
it.
lot of respect for these victims. We try to do things in the most appropriate way we can, but you literally have to laugh or you will cry. Like, that is how I feel about this
just
fucked up
helps
world.
Helps it.
It helps my anxiety
lift it a
for
little
real
bit.
to kind of, yeah. Between these two things and John's story changing, things just do not look good for this guy.
Okay.
Now, there is one possible sighting of the boys in Sandusky, Ohio at a donut shop, but police could not follow up because they didn't report it until a few days after. And by this time, there's no way of tracing them. They couldn't get the license plate. It did sound kind of promising because the woman said it was 3 boys and a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And they all looked really tired and hungry, which makes me kind of sad. And she said the woman looked a little haggard, which also makes me... I'll go into my theories later, but let's just say that makes me very nervous. Supposedly, she did call the little one, Tanner, by his name. Sounds very promising. Here's the thing, too. Like, she did report it a few days later, so who knows if maybe once she did see the news, she kind of just... Memories can be tricky after a little bit of time. So we don't know, but that was kind of promising. Now, other than that, there has been no traces of these boys for 11 years. There's nothing.
It's heartbreaking.
They even did a search of that area in Ohio, like off a turnpike. They couldn't find any scent, nothing of these kids. There was a time back in 2017 where they thought they may have found their remains in Montana, as there were 3 skeletal remains of children under 10. Which, how often do you find like a group of 3 bodies all under that age? Like, but it turns out that the remains were over 99 years old, so it wasn't them.
Oh my gosh,
So,
though.
I know.
That's still... That's
Weird.
intense,
A
though.
little weird. Don't know if they ever found out what actually has happened to them, but I just can't imagine what the mom is going through. You know, because I can't imagine being like, oh, you know, we're separated, I'm worried about all these things, but the boys love their dad. I'm going to let them see their dad. And he just completely screws her whole life up, honestly.
Yeah, no, she did. He did.
Yeah, and she tries to hold out hope, but at the same time she's like, you know, I have to go forward with my life because the boys wouldn't want me to be. So I wanted to talk about some theories because I could speculate about this case for hours. So did they really go with someone underground? John's family believes that they did.
Okay.
Yeah, like they believe his story 100%. I don't know. Part of me wonders, this is what I was going to say in regards to like that donut shop thing where they did see him just looking really tired and hungry. I'm worried if he did give them away, did he give them away to someone with bad intentions?
Yeah, that was my first thought too.
Yeah, and so I was talking to my husband about this because we love to, you know, watch crazy shows like this, and he's a conspiracy theorist for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I love to say that, I would love to say that this isn't true and it is a conspiracy, sex trafficking is 100% a real problem.
Yes.
That is so vast and hard to, it's almost impossible to find the people once they're in it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's just really sad to think about, but what if they did go into, you know, someone took them into sex trafficking?
Right. Well, you have to think about it now, like, sex trafficking was always there,
Mm-hmm.
but even it's 2022 now, and there's people now just learning about it.
Yeah.
and they're now fully understand, like, it is a problem.
Yes.
But that's a big time gap.
Yeah, and Michigan is one of the worst states.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
of the lakes, it's easy to smuggle people out.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they take kids to different countries.
Yeah.
How would you ever trace them? Pretty impossible to get out of even once you become an adult, because then they turn you into the predator. You know, like they make you participate, or, oh, I'm going to kill you, or, oh, I'm going to, you know, it's hard to get out of, which would just be horrible. But I could imagine if you're just giving your kids away to someone random you don't even know, someone who would just take kids like that.
That doesn't seem okay.
Yeah, no.
And, like, even if they did take them, like, going to the police, like,
yeah.
hey, they seemed in a bad situation, so I took these kids from them, but here they are. Yeah. Now what do we do?
And
that didn't seem to happen.
No,
so.
And so they thought, too, maybe they were given away to, like, the Amish community.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of Amish people there.
Yeah.
And they did interview a couple different families, and they said, you know, if we did have to take care of these kids, we would.
Right.
But I think they also said we would never conflict with law enforcement. You know, they wouldn't just hold these kids against their will. And here's my thing, too. So if they weren't given away to someone with bad intention, they're now adults. Mm-hmm. You know, I think the smallest one would be like, 17 or something like that? Pretty much adults. And we're in the age of social media where these kids would have to have a phone. And they would have had to have a phone for years. And if not having a phone, they would have had access to a computer in school. And I feel like they're also, at the time they got kidnapped, because they were kidnapped by their dad, they would remember their family before. Mm-hmm. You know, it's one thing for it to be like a toddler or a baby to give them away to someone new they probably wouldn't remember. Kids that are almost 10 would.
Yeah, you know who your parents are. You know where you came from.
Yeah, and I just feel like even if they were told maybe, you know, never talk about your family, or, you know, your family was bad people, or was bad people. We're bad people. I don't know what that grammar was. I feel like by the time they became teenagers, they could search their name and find this case and find all this information and be like, wait, no, like I need to go back to my home.
Right. We're acting like when they got to their teenage years, they didn't have any opinions or thoughts of where they might have come from.
To me, it's just that it makes me sad. Like every year that goes by, I feel like there's less and less chance that these boys are alive, because they would come forward.
You would think. I can't, unless the trauma and torture they've been through, we don't know what happened to them, and they really don't want to come forward. I don't know. But
I don't know. It's just really sad. And some people say, too, that they think maybe he got the lady to take the boys down to Florida with his family, and his family smuggled them to the Bahamas, because I guess his dad spends a lot of time in the Bahamas. Weird. There's, like, no backing to this.
No.
That seems a little more unlikely to me. Obviously, that brings us to our next one, which is the more obvious one. That the dad did it. That he did do something to them. And like I said, they searched for bodies where his phone was pinged and they could not find anything. But you got to remember, his phone was off for, I think it was nearly 2 hours. It wasn't exactly 2 hours. It's probably a little under. If he split them up, and the drive was only 25 miles, so it was like 30-minute drive, that gives him like, you know, hour and a half or something to like kind of drop the bodies in other areas. It was more like he probably split them up. You know?
Right.
That, I don't know. I don't know if he's smart enough to do any of this. I don't know. It seems more likely with the searches, the attempted suicide, because why would he attempt, and I forgot to mention, he did post a Facebook status a couple weeks before that said, "May God and Tanya forgive me."
Oh. And
some people could argue, forgive me for giving away our children.
Okay.
To me, I don't know.
It's fishy.
I just feel like he even could have had, like, you know, if he was attempting suicide, he was probably battling some mental health issues. Mm-hmm. He could have even had, like, a break from reality. And maybe he thought he did give these kids away. Maybe, because a lot of people say when they kill someone, they just blacked out. Okay. So maybe, and this is what he says to make himself feel better.
Mm-hmm. And now he just believes it because he doesn't remember.
Yeah, because, I mean, that really does happen.
Right.
So, we don't know. And it's so frustrating because it's like this man is alive and he's, tell them. Tell them what happened. Because obviously something's fishy here.
Well, they can't find anything that exists and his story's not adding up.
No. And he even says, too, no one's contacted him since then from this underground foster care, which, you know, could back the idea that he gave them away to bad people.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And maybe he just doesn't want to admit that part because he feels bad. I don't know. Maybe he sold them because some people sell their freaking kids.
Yeah, they do.
It's disgusting, but it happens. So, I don't know. We could speculate all day. But, yeah, he is in prison currently because they could at least get him at unlawful imprisonment. Yeah, but that's all they can hold him on for right now. So he's there until 2025. And that's coming up pretty quick.
Yeah, it is.
And, I mean, it just disgusts me that this man could get out of prison and no one knows where his kids are still.
That seems weird.
I know. But they can't do anything without a body, which...
I don't know. For me, I'm just so big on closure.
Yeah, me too.
I could not... I mean, props to the mom just to be like, well, I gotta move on. I gotta figure this out.
Yeah, trying the best she could. So, yeah, we don't know. But, I mean, that's the case of the Skelton brothers, and it's still unsolved today. And they do have, look online, especially all the people that are listening from Michigan, they do have age progression photos of these kids. They think they could possibly be split up if they're still alive. And they have a tip line you can call if you know anything. So we'll put that in the description too.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is a website for the Skelton brothers that goes very into depth about the boys' personalities, more pictures, who you can contact if you want to join in on searches, because they're still doing searches. They're still trying to be hopeful and find these boys, and I really hope that would be like the best story to hear, that these boys are okay.
Seriously, just to know that they're fine, but they've gone through, because I was wondering that too, and as we talked more and more about it, maybe if you went through that much trauma and everything, you might not want to talk about it. You might want to just, because you know when they say like, well, don't say anything, or I'm gonna do something,
right?
And so you have that whole, and especially if you're young, you know, you're 9 years old when you're kidnapped, you might carry that over and think, I have to be someone else completely and go under the radar.
I mean, that's a good point too, because, you know, if you think about it, there are also cases where people end up liking their kidnappers.
Yeah.
What is that called?
It's not Stockholm
Syndrome.
Okay,
yeah,
that's what I thought. I'm like,
syndrome. Have that, and maybe they believe like, okay, this is my family. I don't want to be torn away from these people because life is so good.
What I thought about that was that I think you read this book too. I read it in high school, and Stolen. That's what made me think about it, where she was like she almost convinced herself that her kidnapper was her friend and the safe person. I think it happens quite a bit, because not every kidnapper is, you know, the extreme of you are isolated in a far off place. Like sometimes you're like, you might just be in a rural area and you have a house and everything's fine. You don't know.
They could be a part of the Amish community, just living their life.
Right.
Maybe they don't have phones and computers if they're in the Amish community.
Exactly.
And maybe they enjoy it. So why would they try to change anything?
Because they wouldn't know any better either.
I want to think that way.
That's what I think.
My gut
I'd like to.
tells me that the dad did something, but I want to think that
positive
they're living happily and just going about their lives, and maybe one day, maybe in like 20 years we're gonna find out, oh, they found the Skelton brothers, you know.
Right.
We don't know, but this is just one of those cases that just it's like it's almost like the Delphi murders for me. It's just like I want to know. I want to know. And it bugs me even more that this man is just sitting in prison and he won't give them any more information, like what really happened, because obviously this woman did not exist.
No. You can't fight with something that
so
isn't
what happened?
real.
You know?
I didn't like that, Jordan.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, you said you didn't? Oh, wow. I thought it did
Happy
good.
Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this kind of bummer of an episode.
Yeah, but we'll link all those tips.
If you live anywhere, because maybe these boys could be anywhere in the country. We don't know. So seriously, there could be a chance these boys are still around. They have really good age progression pictures that look legit. Like, they look really good. We'll put the information, and you guys can take a look and just spread awareness, because it's been 11 years, but...
And at this point, if anyone knew anything, that would be helpful.
Yeah.
I think any information.
Yeah, they're still even asking if anybody can remember that day, like anybody in the area, because any one little thing could help this case. So, thank you for listening, guys.
Yes.
And, bye.
Bye. I'm just
Say bye, Maisie. Oh.